Your Robin keeps a file on you, not a rough impression, not a vague sense of your presence in the garden. Ah, filet, updated. As far as I can tell from watching the same bird for several years now, almost every single day, it knows what time you usually appear in the morning. It knows which door you come out of. It knows what you tend to do first, whether you go straight to the compost heap or stop at the beds by the wall. It knows your coat, the green one you wear when it is cold, the gray one for in-between days. It has noticed that you move differently depending on which one you have on, and it has decided, based on all of this, exactly what category you belong in. That decision is not fixed. It is under constant review. Stay with me until the end. Because the last thing I want to tell you, the thing I find most difficult to explain, is what the file actually says about you, and why that should change the way you feel every single time you step outside. The first entry in the file is your schedule. Your Robin knows roughly what time you appear. Not to the minute, but it operates within a window. In the half hour before you usually come out, it adjusts. It moves closer to the areas of your garden you tend to visit. It takes a position with a clear sight line to your door. This is not coincidence. Robins are one of the few birds in a British garden that have spent long enough alongside working humans to have developed what I can only describe as a schedule sense. They do not simply react to your appearance. They anticipate it. The compost heap, for instance. Your Robin knows your compost heap better than you do in one very specific sense. It knows the cycle. Recently turned soil is rich. The worms are close to the surface, disoriented, easy to catch. Settled, cold, untouched compost is less productive. It checks the heap on days you have been out there, and it adjusts how much time it spends there for the following day or two based on what it finds. If you have been in the garden recently, your Robin knows. The second entry is what you look like. This surprises people. But the Robin in your garden has a visual record of you that it cross-references every time you appear. It knows your approximate height, your shape, the way you carry yourself when you walk. It knows, to a degree I find genuinely unsettling in the best possible way, what you tend to wear. Not the specific garment, but the color, the silhouette, the way you move in it. I noticed this several winters ago. I had spent most of the cold months in a dark green wax jacket, and the Robin in my garden had become, over that time, unusually comfortable with my presence, coming within a foot or two while I worked, settling on the handle of my fork while I stopped to rest. One afternoon in early February, I came out in a coat I had not worn in months. Pale, longer, different in every relevant way from the green jacket. The Robin flushed from the fence post the moment I appeared. It perched in the hedge, 15 feet away, and watched me for several minutes before it moved to its usual spot. It did not know me. Or rather, it did not yet know that this new configuration was me. By the following day, after I had appeared twice more in the pale coat and behaved in exactly the ways it expected, the file had been updated. The approach distance returned to normal. It had simply needed time to reconcile the new data with the existing record. The third entry, and this is the one I return to most often, is how you move. Your Robin tracks the quality of your movement. Not just where you go in the garden, but how you are moving when you get there. There is a particular quality to how a person moves when they are calm and purposeful. The slight slowing of pace, the deliberateness of each action. That is different from how a person moves when they are distracted or hurried or not quite themselves. Your Robin has recorded both. On mornings when I am tired or preoccupied, I have noticed it maintains a slightly greater distance. It is not alarmed. It does not flush. But it stays one perch further back than usual, watching. On the mornings I am settled and quiet, it is as close as it ever gets. I do not think this is coincidence. I think the file contains an entry on something like mood. Not mood as we experience it, but mood as it expresses itself in movement, in pace, in how close to the ground your attention seems to be. The file is not static. This is the part that I find most fascinating. The record your Robin keeps of you is a living document. It is revised on almost every encounter. When something about you changes, a new color, a new tool, an unfamiliar object you bring into the garden, the file does not simply reject the familiar record and start again. It integrates the new data against the existing one. It asks, in whatever way a robin asks things. Is this the same individual I know behaving differently? Or is this a different individual entirely? In practice, this means your robin is performing a small act of identification every single time you step outside. It checks you against the file. It confirms or updates. And then it proceeds accordingly. This is not something I could have understood without watching it over many years. The file revision is visible if you know what to look for. It is in the slight pause before approach. The moment where the bird holds its position on the fence post a fraction longer than usual while it processes. Then, when the check is complete, the ordinary, easy movement of a creature that has confirmed what it already knew. You are who it expected you to be. Proceed. The file is not just a record. It contains a verdict. Based on everything your robin has observed, your schedule, your appearance, your tools, your pace, your predictability, it has made a determination about what you are. Not dangerous. That much is clear, or it would not still be in your garden. But the categories go further than that. The first is neutral, a human presence that is neither helpful nor threatening, tolerated, observed from a distance, given adequate space whenever it appears. The second is useful. This is where most regular gardeners end up if they have been consistent in how they move and where they work. The human who digs, who turns soil, who disturbs the leaf litter, this is a human whose movements create opportunity. Your robin does not follow you because it likes you. It follows you because your presence reliably precedes food. There is warmth in that, even if the warmth is entirely practical. And then there is a third category. I have only witnessed it a handful of times, and I am not certain I have the language for it. It is when the file moves beyond useful into something that looks, from the outside, like familiarity. When the bird begins to appear not only when you are working, but when you are simply present. When it takes a perch within arm's reach and holds it without purpose. Not hunting, not singing, not displaying. Simply being in the same space as you. I do not know what to call that. I am not sure the available words are accurate enough, but I have experienced it. And I suspect, if you have spent enough quiet time in your garden with a robin who knows you well, you may have experienced something like it too. Here is what the file says about you. It says you are known. It says you are expected. It says you have been observed, assessed, and categorized in a way that has shaped a small creature's daily decisions for months, possibly years. The robin in your garden has a more complete and updated record of your garden behavior than you will ever have of yourself. It has watched you on your best mornings and your hardest ones. It has cross-referenced you across seasons. It has noted how you change, and it has updated accordingly. And every morning when it checks you, that brief pause on the fence post, the slight tilt of the head before it moves closer, it is consulting the file, confirming what it knows, proceeding on the basis of everything it has already decided about you. The file is still open. Every time you step outside, a new entry is made. Has your robin ever reacted differently to you on a particular day? Held back when it would usually approach, or come closer than it ever has before? Tell me about it in the comments. I want to know what you noticed. I read every single one.